Well, hey there everyone. Y'all notice anything different? Well, good morning everyone. That's right, it's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. Welcome back to Southeast Louisiana. Oh man, it's already a early morning, letting the fog lift a little bit, but I got to get busy in the bees. Guys, it is the 25th of February and I turned around and went on vacation last week when I should have been in my bees. I went to northern Minnesota. Wow. Louisiana, going north, it was cold, but we had a great time. Did a lot of winter sports and activities, loved it. But I should have been in my bees, but we'd already had this planned, and I'm glad I went, and I can't wait to go again. But I can see firsthand why you guys in Minnesota are not even fooling with bees. I knew it, but I got to see it. Great time, but now I got to get into bees. I don't know what has happened with the bees. A lot of people are reporting huge colonies this time of year. There's swarms out there. You saw I had scouts on my traps. No, I have not went and checked them yet. I need to, but nonetheless, it's on. It's time. We won't have any more major cold weather. We may have a freeze here and there, but all the trees, the cypress has got its leaves almost all the way out. Everybody else is blooming leaves out. The pecan or pecan, wherever you may be, however you say it, when it blooms, we know there's no more frost. For the most part, it's done, guys. It's time to get busy. I'm usually assessed by now on my colonies, but obviously I went on vacation. I can't be. I had one or two that I'm thinking could possibly have pulled off some early swarms or about to early swarm. I don't know. But one good thing about early swarms this early is if you get one, with our long season, we have plenty of time for them to be ready for the, provided they requeen, be ready for the flow. So that's not a problem. I hope not, but I'd rather split them myself so I know where they go. But hey, who knows? Only time will tell. Got to go through them and see. It's still a how I do video, not a how-to video. I'm not telling you how to raise bees, do bees. I'm showing you what has worked for me over the years and what I'm doing. If you happen to pick up any tips and tricks, that's wonderful, but it's not meant to be that. It's still just a vlog. As far as this Guardian Bee Apparel jacket, I'm very pleased with it. I've always wanted to try one since I got the gloves. Was ready to get into a jacket, and Terry was good enough to get me into a jacket while we were at Hive Life, and I am excited to try it. It is going to be different. Everybody always asks me where I got my other jacket. I like that jacket, and I had gotten away from ventilated jackets because when it's stifling, just hot here, and it's no breeze whatsoever, they're heavy and hot. The cotton ones seem to be a little better in that case. I'm going to roll with it and see what I like and what I don't like about it. But right now, I like the waistband already, super tight. I love the Velcro on these so that if the elastic is starting to get a little loose, you can tighten it up. The veil's going to take a little getting used to because it's not as wide as my other, and it does kind of flex more, but I'll figure that out. The zippers are going to take a little getting used to, but man, they're solid. They come around and zip and criss and cross. The collar can be retracted, tucked under, tucked over, or put up. So very excited to use it. Again, these ventilated jackets, they're always hot no matter if it's stifling hot and it's no wind. There's no wind, they're hot no matter what. But this thing is already a lot lighter weight than the Man Lake one I have in there. I still keep that one for emergency purposes or backup, and I still got my date in it. But this right here, it's a lot lighter weight. So it's as light a weight as my cotton, but it breathes. So I'm interested to see how this thing's going to do, and I really appreciate it. Terry is not sponsoring me. He's not expecting me to make a video. I just wanted to mention why I've got it on and what I think about it, and so far I like it. I'm excited about using it. I was always excited about his gloves. Love his gloves. Don't use anything but his gloves. They're actually gloves that fit. They fit your hand. They don't like the Man Lake gloves I had that one time, and they had that gigantic thumb that just got in the way. And I wear gloves, so I loved his gloves, and I actually went down a size in gloves because they actually fit properly. So that's why I like them, and I'm really excited about this jacket. So there is my shameless plug for another one of the smaller companies that I'm very excited about that have entered into the beekeeping realm, to where we do have a choice now, and we have a choice for smaller companies that will talk to their customers and will serve their customers and are happy to serve their customers and are there for the beekeeper. I mean, everybody's trying to make a living, don't get me wrong, I understand that, we all do, but they're still here for the beekeeper. That's great. All right, so I need to go get some assessments done. I'm gonna shoot some video here and there, and I'm gonna put something together for you guys. I appreciate all y'all. Let's get busy. Well, folks, this time of year they tend to be a little ornery, at least in my yard. I smoke all the little cracks and crevices where they're venting, and I got a bucket out here because it's also time of year. On my first assessment, I really need to clean up burr comb, and this colony in particular always seems a little angry. And I know I'm gonna see a lot of beetles, that's for sure. Everybody's reporting lots of beetles down here. This thing is full of honey. And what I'm gonna do today is see if they're queen right, see how much honey we're gonna eventually have to move to make them to open up the nests. See if their bottom boxes are completely empty, I will reverse them. Obviously see health and strength, and just look at what we got for a queen. See if there's anybody ready to swarm. And then what I do is I go through and I try to go through all my colonies. I like to look and see where they're at, and then after I get through one stand, I get on my little recorder and I write, okay, this colony's going to need this, 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 and this, and I'll come back and do all that later. At least I can get assessments done. That's kind of how I do it. They're starting to boil up, and again, this was never a very nice colony. Could be we just have honey up top, but I doubt it. I think the nest has just shifted. Yep, there's our honey, but fresh nectar coming in just as everybody suspected. Yeah, just ripped open. I'm gonna look for mites in that drone brood. I don't see any mites. Not necessarily something that's going to tell me that I'm mite free at all, we know that, but it definitely tells you if you got an infestation, gives you an idea. Lots of larvae in that. I got my readers on, so I'm gonna have to use, look at that side, brood. So a lot of honey up top. I always use a flashlight down in here. Plenty of eggs. Oh, see, now this is all honey on this side and just a small patch and all nectar. So that's what I'm doing. This colony is definitely going to need some opening up. There we go. So we're going to get this top box pulled off. It's all honey. And I'm going to mark this one as knowing it needs to have the nest opened up. Let's see what's in the bottom. Gosh almighty, that is full. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so the whole nest is over. Again, looking for mites. I don't see any mites in there. Clean this. I'm surprised I didn't even see one, which I'm happy about, but surprised about. So this thing is about honey bound. Yeah, this colony is about honey bound. No, maybe not. Here's some pollen. No, a little bit of pollen and mostly nectar. They're gonna be honey bound. So this colony is set up okay, but we're gonna need to open the top up big time. Pollen frame and nectar and honey. I'm gonna slide this nest centered in a minute. That's one thing I will do while I'm out here. I'm gonna center the bottom. They'll grow, they're gonna grow fine. They look okay. Yeah, a lot of honey. Ooh, a lot of pollen. That's a full frame of pollen. Here's some brood. Full of brood. Plenty of larvae around that brood. So look for our queen. There's our queen right there. Look at there. First queen I've seen of 2023. All right, guys. Let's get her put away. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna center this and leave it alone. I'm gonna mark it as it's going. We're gonna center the nest, get them put back together. This is always an ornery bunch. Another frame full of brood. Just so you can see, there we are. Backfilling it already. So they're gonna need space for nectar. So queen right, center of the nest, gotta open them up. They can draw that out. They're mad. There's times I can tell sometimes if it's just the bees that are bad bees or whether it's just a time of the year. And the way I see that, and it usually doesn't happen with this colony, is if I put the lid back on and within 5 minutes everybody's calmed back down and happy, then it's usually the time of year. What I found with this colony is even after you close them up, as you're working that whole stand, they're still just nasty. I'm gonna have to probably requeen these bees eventually. I do want to show y'all something. I want to start the camera when we get away from these nasty bees, but because that's still who's bothering me right now is those. But these little holders that Brian Copeland from Castle Hives made me. I needed something that I can get in between my small spaces. He made these for me, and of course, Brian, getting the mileage that he does, he made sure and wrote not how to, but how I do. It's my first try with them. I'm gonna use them for my small colonies where I don't have a spot to put a frame. Like this is a nuke, so I got room between, but sometimes it's just hard to get them in between, so I can just stick it like this and they're good and solid. I like it. Thanks, Brian. You see the bees are irritated. These are from still that ornery hive. I wanted a video later after I got away from this stand, but here's an example. I tell you, I go through and identify what needs to happen. Like first one, I know I need to move honey. That stack of nukes right there, top two are full of honey, bottom's only got 3 frames of brood. She has to have space. Then I get to this one, and what I'm finding is my queen is on this frame. This is a centralized little nest. A lot of empty frames. Look at them. Ooh, they didn't like that. Did you see that? These guys just got upset for whatever reason. But I'm gonna center that nest, pull these empty frames out, put honey next door from this one, and kind of even the nest out where I don't have to come back in it. It's got a lot of bees, and they obviously aren't too happy right now. They literally just got like that. I've been working these for like 5 minutes now and had no issues, and was just moving frames, and all of a sudden they just got stupid. But that's kind of what I'll do on the fly. That way, if I've got it reconfigured, I'll make a note that, hey, I've got them some space for now because I got plenty of empty frames to put up top, and they'll be good for a couple weeks until I get back to it and kind of figure out what we're going to do. Most likely, depending on what's all in the top, we're going to split this one. Let's see what's in the top as we start moving honey out. I already pulled a honey frame out to put in here. I'm going to give them a little smoke. I know where the queen is. She's fine. She's big and beautiful. She's laying eggs, but she's not exploding, and that's okay for me. It's okay at this time for me. So I got this frame of honey here. I'm gonna put it in this box on the edge. So I'll put about 3 frames of honey in the bottom to open up the top for them. And they may not need the top too far open. Let's throw some smoke to them. And this is how I get this first assessment. I'm very unorganized. I got frames spread everywhere. Yeah, see, actually they don't need much. This has got nectar going in. This next frame, it's kind of a way of equalizing, but not really. But I want to see if she's been up here. She hasn't. So that's a good frame to keep up top. Let's see if she's been on this one. Yeah, she's been on here. But this is full of larvae, so she's loading the top pretty good. I'm gonna put her another empty frame in the middle. This is gonna be a splitter in about 2 weeks. I'm gonna get another frame of honey for the bottom. I want to give her a lot of space in the top. Now she is gonna get up here, but they're also gonna lay, oh wow, yeah, she's been up here big time. Yeah, this is gonna be when we split. But what I was getting ready to say is they'll put nectar up here too, but at least we give them space so that when they open up the frames down south in the bottom, at least they've got space for the next couple weeks. So this one I won't even look at for another 2 weeks. So that's all honey. All right, here's a pollen frame and honey, so that's the edge of the nest. So I'll go ahead and take this next one, put it in the bottom. I'm gonna move a couple empty frames to the middle up here. So that's kind of the stuff I do on the fly. Alrighty. That's a honey frame that I'm gonna put. That's a honey frame I'm gonna put in the bottom. I know my queen. Need to get some smoke. Boy, they are upset, huh? Like they just realized, Mike, you're in here and we have no business here. This here. And I need to add a frame. It's only got 9 frames in this one. I had to zip over to the barn real quick, but hey, I want to show you something. I left this hive open. I probably shouldn't have. It's only gone a minute or two, but when I see the drones getting all broke apart, when I talk about looking for mites, I know all y'all know this that keep bees, but in case there's anybody new or anything, what I do, I look at my drone brood, and when I looked at it a minute ago, it was fine. I'm gonna smoke them down off of this drone brood. And I take a quick peek at it. I look for mites, because mites, they love to go in the drone brood because of the incubation period of the drone being longer. Put a bunch of mites in there. So I always look, see if I see a bunch of mites. And in this case, I'm not seeing any. And I didn't see any on the bottom of the frames. This isn't telling me that I don't have mites or my mite load is low necessarily. It is telling me though I don't have, you know, a huge infestation problem. And so it's always comforting to see, you know, no or a few mites in your drone brood when I go through. Personally, that's how I feel. It's just a nice feeling, but it's definitely not a, you know, a true test, but makes me feel better anyway. How about you guys? You feel better whenever you don't see mites in your drone brood? All right, let me show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about pollen bound. Why I just don't see a need for supplement in my area. Okay, so you got this queen. You can tell she wants to put brood in, okay? There's no doubt. Look at that. That's beautiful. Go to this side. And what you got there is the little bit that's open. There's a little bit open for eggs. The rest is all pollen, bee bread, and cap brood. I'm seeing this all over. Tons of pollen. Now they'll go through some of that pollen as they begin to build up. So we know that. Again, another frame full of bee bread. So another one full of bee bread. Where there's no bee bread, she's putting in brood, but that's it. So that's why I don't really mess with it too much. Even in the going into winter, I don't, because they bring in so much off the goldenrod. We don't get a lot of honey off the goldenrod, but we get a ton of pollen. Haven't seen the queen, but I saw eggs. Another one full of bee bread. Look at that, just full of it. Still February, guys. Another one full of bee bread. Where there's no bee bread, she's putting in eggs, but hopefully they begin to use a lot of that. I've seen it one time where it was, I had a nest, the entire bottom was full of bee bread and the top was full of honey with a small patch of brood in the top, and they swarmed on me. So, well, hey there, I got about half the hives done. No, maybe a third to half, somewhere in there, but I'm finding a lot of good growing colonies, nothing too overpacked, nothing crazy. I'm happy about that. My drone brood is not showing many mites. I haven't seen any mites on any of it. And that's not to say I didn't miss a few, and that's a good thing. That means there's not super infestations. But these are the type of frames I'm seeing. I'm seeing boxes like this that are completely packed out with honey. That has to be remedied. That can't go on. And I'm seeing bottoms like this one's hard to tell because there's just a bunch of pollen mixed in, but that thing is full of larvae, full of it. See how that pearly white, beautiful larvae, all the way, different ages, everything. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Haven't seen a lot of queens, but I'm seeing all the eggs I need to. And that's, of course, indicating that there is a queen present, and full of cap brood and larvae. So I'm seeing a lot of this. That's good. I'm not seeing overpopulated nests. I see a couple. Now, when I'm scraping a lot of drone brood, but I'm not scraping all of it off the bottoms of the frames. If I see really good, super looking queens, I leave those drones alone. Somebody's coming up to my house here in a second, but I leave those drones alone because even though the queens outfly the drones to mate, I know my swarms are in the woods. I know the genetics that are around here over the last 10 years so far. And so I want these drones out there. So I don't want to just scrape every drone I see. Drones are an asset if you've got good queens. Weaker, bad colonies, I'll scrape every drone I see. Still going, guys, still going. And the problem with this colony is, it's not a problem, it's that I got sheets of brood like this. If you look down in there, that's another full sheet of brood. And I got tons of drones going in. This colony's gonna have to be split, and they're gonna have to have more room. I could probably just take that whole box of honey off the top. Oops. Could take that whole box of honey off the top and put in all empty frames and mix some brood up in the top. I could probably keep them where I wouldn't have to split them as soon, because really I've only got one box full of bees and a box full of honey. So I just dropped that frame in there. That's why they're ornery, but they've been really good since I got over here. Anyway, I'm gonna go on through, but there's an idea what I'm looking at. Things are looking pretty good so far, pretty good. Here's one I thought was so weak a while back. We put fondant on it and everything. Brood from here to here, pretty solid. And there's the top box. Full of bees. Full of bees. Very heavy. There's some brood in there, I'm sure, but mostly honey, so I have to open it up a little bit, but it should be split. Well, folks, I am catching my breath. I tell you what, it's a lot of work getting back in those bees. I guess it's not, you know, a lot of it's got to do with almost everything is honey bound. It's just full in the top, so much honey. They did not use much honey at all over the warm winter, because I'm suspecting a lot of nectar was coming in. They were consuming what they were able to bring in many times, but the bottom line is they did not go hungry whatsoever. So lifting those boxes off, because you know, I'm doing an assessment. I want to see where everybody's at and how the nests are arranged. I had to reverse 0 boxes. That's a first in 10 years. Well, 9 when I started reversing them. That's a first. I've never not had to reverse boxes. I've never had them all full on top. Now, some were where the nests were up top, you know, and spread throughout, but maybe half a dozen, really. That's it. Some of them were loaded with bees, and they're already backfilling the nest. So I got to get some space, meaning I got to get some empty frames. I've got a ton of drawn out frames I can put on there. I just got to get them all. And so I'll probably take stacks of boxes out there full of drawn comb, and I'll just start yanking honey. I'll take the honey, and I'm just gonna have to freeze it for a while, and maybe feed it back to them another time. So that's the situation. I guarantee you to fill my freezer with what's out there. One thing I am pleased with, so that, let me say that first, is disappointing. So, because that's a lot of work. And I think it's really a lot of work. You are lifting all the boxes, but plus I'm breaking everything loose. And when you're breaking all that propolis loose, because I haven't been in them in so long, it wears on your hands, and you're popping and pulling, and it's, once you get them going, it's pretty, and you know, it's pretty good. But then you got all the comb underneath that you break loose, and you break that first, and you're doing all that scraping, so that irritates them because you're tearing into their brood nest. So a lot of different things that make the first assessments not necessarily the most pleasant, but it is satisfying to get back in them. Overall, everybody is doing well except for 3 here. 3 here are very, very weak. One, I gave them the queen is in there. She's putting in brood, but only in a couple frames. So I gave them a sheet of brood, a frame full of brood on both sides, and maybe that'll give them a boost. So got 3 of them, and then I got one that's kind of mediocre, not a good queen. So I know I'll have to replace her, and then I've got a couple that are just mean. once I got on the other side, everybody seemed pretty good, so it wasn't so bad. The last couple were irritated, but getting toward the end of the day. But all in all, everything was looking good. Another thing I was very, very pleased with was I saw very, very few beetles. I mean, over in the entire bee yard, less than 20 that I saw. That was very good. I was happy about that. Another thing I was happy to see was a lot of drone brood that I broke open when I split the boxes were mite free. Didn't see any mites. I saw a couple mites here and there, but again, and that's not a measure of your mite load, I know that, but it is an indication of whether I'm infested. And no mites on the clean, pretty white larvae, so that was nice. That brood is a pain in the tail between them, and if you ever watch Brad Hogg over in that bee man at Faith Apiaries, he makes these things called story frames. I told myself I was going to make some, and then I never did because I'm lazy and I can't stand doing new projects, I guess. But I need to make some of those, and that will eliminate a lot of that brood between the frames. And the story frames, you can go to his videos and check them out, but he basically makes a type of brood, drone frame on two sides of a regular foundation. But anyway, maybe I'll do that. So that just wears you out, tearing into all that and opening it up. And I didn't see any swarm cells. That's a good thing. While they're ahead, they're not terribly far ahead, so that's good. But like I said, we're starting to see some backfilling in the brood nest, and that's not good. I've seen a lot of pollen bound frames, so that's a concern. So a lot of that's got to be swapped out. That and with the honey bound and all that honey, that's part of the problem with running double deeps. But running singles down here, again, I've explained it in other videos why I don't. I would love to, but it would mean storing a whole bunch of deeps over winter, and with the wax moth situation we have and the mild winters and all that space I'd have to come up with, it's just not, I don't know, it's not for me right now. But then it turns around and bites me, because now I got a ton of honey I got to do something with. But then I could have a single and have a warm winter, and then I'm feeding them all winter. So it's, every region's different, every way of managing is different. So just a fluke year, but isn't that what they always do? Don't they throw us some kind of curveball? It's never going to be standard and easy, right? Never. So anyway, well, I am very pleased with my assessments. Very happy to see most everybody is doing well except for those three. I need to go in town and check those. Everybody's growing. Brood's going in heavy. Nice growth on them. Nice place where they're at. They're not, outside of a couple that are overflowing, which I may make into queen builders. Everybody is at a good stage as far as growth. So I've got a week to 2 weeks to really get some stuff done and get them under control and make sure we're at a certain manageable position. So, all right, guys, well, that's going to be it for today. I appreciate all you guys watching. I thank you so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Here we go on the 2023 season. It's rip-roaring and going, so we're going to get after it. It's Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later. So the bees are all stirred up pretty good, but they've calmed down a lot. They got stirred up pretty well, so they're pretty stirred up, but they're getting back down to normal. And as the season goes on, we'll get them calmed down.